First of all, maybe a bit of a personal question, but this is probably the first election you haven't contested since, I believe, 2004. So how does that feel?
Weird. To tell you the truth, very weird. You're right. It's been a long time, 6 election campaigns over 17 years. And to be on the sidelines for this one, it's a strange feeling. It's a very strange feeling. I've got mixed emotions, but that's something that Tony, I've come to grips with. I've understood for a while now that it's probably better for me to step down and let somebody younger take the reins. I'm approaching my 70th birthday, and 17 years is a pretty good shift. So I think it's time.
Well, I certainly wish you well. And obviously, being in Parliament takes its toll on everyone, including yourself and myself and many, many others. So it's good for you for deciding to make it a bookend at 17 years there. I want to ask, obviously, we're in the throes of an election campaign. So I think we should start the discussion by talking about what it looks like politically in the province of Saskatchewan. Obviously, you know that province very well and probably have a good sense of how things are going there.
Well, as you know, back in 2019, the last election, we won 14 out of 14 seats, which I believe was the first time in several decades, perhaps ever. I'm a little foggy on the history of the political process or political parties in Saskatchewan, but we were completely successful, a clean sweep, as it were. This time around, I'm quite confident that we're going to retain 14 seats, although, as always, there's going to be challenges. But normally the challenges in Saskatchewan come from the NDP, not the Liberals. Right. I believe the Liberals are a spent force in this province. And if there are going to be any upsets, it will probably come at the hands of the NDP. But I'm confident if I had to wager a small amount of money, I'd certainly be wagering that we'll retain all 14 seats here in the province.
And what are the big issues in Saskatchewan?
Well, number one, it's like everywhere in Canada, it's the debt, Tony, and you identified this at the outset. We are in an incredibly tenuous situation, a very, very difficult situation as a country. I recall during the last federal election in 2019, during some debates and town hall meetings I had, I'd said, God forbid if a recession ever washes up on our shore, I should say, because then we'll be in real trouble. I said that at the time when the Liberals were in deficit to the tune of about $20 billion a year, not thinking for a moment that something like the pandemic would come across our shores and raise that exponentially. Right. Now we have an annual deficit, as you know, well over $350 billion annually, and our accumulated debt is over $1.4 trillion. I think that's getting to a point where it's almost unsustainable, Tony. And that's why I fear not for myself or even my children, but it's my grandchildren and great-grandchildren. Mm-hmm. They're the ones who are going to have to pay the bills. And eventually the bills will have to be paid. It's no more complicated, Tony, than having and running a household budget. If you are spending more money than you've got coming in, eventually that's just a house of cards and something's got to give. So I fear for the economic future of our country. And certainly in Saskatchewan, that's a similar fear that most of the people I speak with have.
So they've confirmed that to you in your conversations?
Absolutely. I mean, there's two things going on here. One is an absolute visceral dislike, and I'll choose my words carefully, of the current prime minister. It's a little stronger than just dislike, but that is one of the greatest motivators to get people out to vote. Right. They do not want to see this government and this prime minister particularly reelected.
We're going to take a brief break. We do have to take a commercial break, so hold that thought, and we'll be right back with Tom Lukiwski after this break. Stay with us.